Yep.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Bob. You're absolutely on fire. I agree with everything you said. Yeah, I want to start by wishing everybody a happy New Year's. We're just about there, a couple more days, and we're into 2025. I think it's going to be a really, really great year for everybody. Uh, I initially was going to talk about the timing that's involved in 2025, but I thought to myself, no, I really don't need to do that. Mr. Mufara has taken care of that. Um, I'm confident that he knows exactly what he's doing. And when the timing's right, he's going to come out with phase two, and it's going to be perfect, as Bob said. It's just absolutely going to be perfect. So I'm not going to go there today. Mr. Mufara has that well in hand, and I trust him implicitly. When we start to think about what the topic is today, and I'm going to try and stay on that topic, which is faith in hard times. It's a really, really good topic. When I saw it, I went, of course, faith, hard times, they kind of go together. And when I think about that, I think about faith and gratitude, not grace, gratitude. There's a difference there, guys. And when I think about faith, my faith is always with God, period. That's just the way it is. It's the way it'll always be. My God is sovereign. He pretty much knows everything that's going to be happening. That's where my faith is. But I'll always have a gratitude for Mr. Mufara and what he's done, what his vision is, how he's structuring everything that will benefit each and every one of us. So when I start to think about faith, I start to think about hard times. Faith is essential in everything we do. If you don't have that, it's really, really difficult to get through some of the hard times that we go through. And if you don't think there are hard times, all you have to do is look at 2024. Period. If you look at what Mr. Mufara went through, if you look at what we went through, because we're all anxious to get going, there were some hard times there. But in reality, that is life, isn't it? Life is hard. It's always hard. It's always been hard. But because we come together as a family, there's no hardship we can't endure and get to the other side. So as I think about where we are, where we're going, as I think about faith and hard times, we're in a really, really good place. And I really want to speak to, I know everybody here on the panel, you know what's going on, you know what's happening, you know what Mr. Mufara is doing, but I want to talk to people that maybe they're a little new to this family and they're just listening in. And as I talk about the hardships of life, it's just what it is. Life is hard. And it doesn't matter if you're young or old, doesn't matter if you're 18 or 80, life is difficult. Now, when you're younger, it's difficult, but because you're young, you don't quite understand how hard it's going to get. Maybe that's a blessing for youth, but it does get hard as you get older, as you get more responsibilities, as you have family, as you get older, life gets harder. And obviously, when we start to think about what Mr. Mufara is doing, when we start to think about financial independence, we're all focused on that financial goal that we all have initially. And whether you're young or old, we all have dreams and aspirations we want to meet. If you're young, you have those dreams. They're very real to you. But when you're young and you start to grow older, you start to understand that, yeah, I have these dreams, but I don't have the ability. Yeah, I don't have the skill set to make those dreams come true. And as you get older, you have the skill sets, you have the understanding, but you start to lose the time that it takes to actually build that wealth that you're looking for or accomplish those dreams. So whether you're young or you're old, life can be very, very difficult. And that brings us to Mr. Mufara and what he's doing. And I've thought a lot about this over the last week or so. It's the end of the year. You think about these things and what Mr. Mufara is doing. And yeah, we have hard times, but because of what Mr. Mufara is doing, whether you're old or young, it doesn't matter what skill set you have, it doesn't matter where you come from in the world. Mr. Mufara is putting out there something that will benefit each and every one of us in major, major ways. Over the last couple of years, there are things that I want to talk about that I can't yet. And the reason I can't talk about them is because it's just too early. I'm going to say something that very few of you will believe when I say it, and even fewer will understand what I'm going to say. About probably the only one here that will understand is Marty DeGarmo, and that's because I've talked to Marty for the last 12 years. This is what we talk about. There are things we're going to be able to do that you haven't even thought of. And I'll give you one. And again, most of the people here aren't going to believe it. And these are the things that we're going to be able to start talking about and actually being able to show people how to do. Today on this webinar, we've got maybe 4,000 people that will see this webinar. It's not a bad audience. It's pretty good. And if you look at the universe that each of us have, if we look at the OTEC pros, 2 years ago, their universe was what? Maybe 12 people? That's about it. They didn't have that many people. But because of what they're doing, their universe has grown. And our universe, whatever position you're in, your universe is going to start to grow because of what Mr. Mufareh has done. And as he comes out and he starts to explain what he's going to be doing and how he's going to be doing it, I can tell you flat out that there are things that Marty and I can talk about today that would take this audience of 2 or 3 or 4,000 people that are watching, and in a very, very short period of time, you would have 200,000 people watching this webinar every time we do it. Now, when I say that, most people go, well, that's nice to say that, but really, how can you really do that? I'll give you an example. About 3 years ago, I think it's been 3 years since Mr. Mufareh did this. I was doing videos, and Mr. Mufareh came out and he said, listen, I'm going to drive some people to your video. And I'm just going to do it. I want to do it. I like your videos. I'm going to drive some people there. And I went, well, that's nice. He's going to drive a couple thousand people. It'll be nice if people there. Maybe we get a little traffic, blah, 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 all that stuff. And the next day he drove 100,000 people through one video. Now today, Marty and I know how to do that. But it's even bigger than that when Mr. Mufareh comes out with what he's going to be sharing with us. And the reason I bring this up is to give people an understanding. 2025, what's going to be coming at us? What are you going to be learning? How are you going to be able to implement that? How are you going to build your business? What's that going to? So, I'm still there. Can you guys see me okay?
Yes, but somebody's sharing screen. Can we see that?
Somebody's sharing your screen. We can
I always love to look at Mr. Mufareh. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's fine. But what's coming, and I'll keep this short, Bob. What's coming are all of those questions that I ask. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How are you going to implement? And then there's going to be more coming. Imagine and this really isn't important once Mr. Mufareh brings out phase 2. What if you had a YouTube channel and on average you had 200,000 views per video? Now, those of you that have a YouTube channel and that have monetized, you understand what I just said. It's a really, really big deal until phase 2 comes out. And then it's piddly. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. The only reason we want to have that type of viewership as we do our webinars and our videos is to get people engaged and to bring them into the family so that they can benefit from what Mr. Mufareh is going to be bringing out. But I guess to end it, what I wanted to say is there are things that are coming that we can't talk about yet, not because, and I want to make this clear too, Mr. Mufareh hasn't shared any of this with us. Okay, this is just Marty and I and Dan talking over the last 12 years and our experience online and seeing what Mr. Mufareh is doing. We kind of have an understanding of what's going on. And it's not me, it's not Marty, it's not Dan, it's what Mr. Mufareh has put forward. But as we move forward, understand when he comes out and shows us phase 2, you're going to see things and you think you understand what's going on. And you'll understand kind of the minimum, but we're going to come in, we're going to explain what we've been talking about for 12 years. And again, I know there are a few people that have an inkling in the back of their mind, well, they're thinking about this or they're thinking about this. And maybe you're right. But if you're right, don't say anything because it's just too early yet. I believe as Mr. Mufara comes out with phase 2, all of these things are going to be, they're going to be unrolled by Mr. Mufara. And then from there, we can come in and we can extrapolate and kind of add to them. But we're in a really, really good place. 2025, enjoy the new year coming in. Enjoy it and understand that I don't think we have that long to go. Mr. Mufara's got it under control and it's going to be here sooner than you think. And when it happens, everything starts to change. And hard times, yeah, they'll always be there. We all go through our things. But as Mr. Mufara unrolls phase 2, it's going to be a fun time, and it's going to lighten up those hard times. It's going to soften them, and life's going to get better for everybody. Bob, I'll turn it back over to you. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you could hear me.